All right, welcome back everyone for another episode of Kopitiam Council. We've already covered current affairs with Iran's airstrike on Israel, and we've also covered the potential for a new security agreement between Japan, the Philippines, and the United States of America. So we've already went quite wide here. So we're going to zoom in closer to Malaysia, and we're just true to the new format that we're trying here at Kopitiam Council, which is we cover two topics, which is current affairs both locally and abroad. And then the third topic would just be just be about anything really, maybe something closer to like hobbies or certain things we've watched or certain things we've read, which are very interesting. But this, I think, still counts in the current affairs. But I think we can be a bit more, how do you say, it, open or more less stringent or rigid in terms of how about we want to talk about. And the topic going to be addressing here is throughout the Ramadan month, we saw not just even Ramadan since October, we've seen the rise of a new phenomenon, which happened before back in the past few years, but I think it never took off until now. Which is we Malaysians, I believe, have become very addicted to the idea of boycotting. Now we've seen in the West we have things called cancel culture, and I think boycotting has become Malaysia's cancel culture of sorts. But what is being boycotted right now, Hafiz?
Well, the highlight is McDonald's and Starbucks. But before I go into uh, telling everyone why boycott is a stupid idea, I would like to
Right off the
just
bat,
like
calling
to
it stupid.
I would like just to mention here, boycotting is a personal choice. I'm here not to imposing my thinking to yours. I'm just saying my piece. And if you still want to boycott, then it's up to you. I'm just want to letting you know why it's stupid. All right. So boycott has a direct and indirect impact. Me. And I would argue from the side of direct impact has uh, more impact towards the people, especially those who are associated with the certain company or certain entities that being boycotted. So indirectly, that is not. It's like it's there's a saying in Malay says that because of one mosquito you burn the whole thing, the whole bed. So it's it's a it's mm, a very unfortunate of circumstances. It's like between hard rock and hard place, and you have to do it. And the one that paying the price are the one that actually the locals, the innocent ones. So my contentions here is that boycott is always driven by emotions. That's why I think at the core it's a bad idea. No boycott that ever been launched or whatever based on logic. So it's always started with emotions. Yes, maybe the way they would do it, they would make an app of it or a website, a list of company with their origin, who's are the owners, who they're contributing to. Yes, these are facts, and you cannot dispute this. But the origin of it, it's always emotional, and that's the biggest flaw of boycotting, in my opinion. Because once you have emotions as a driving factor, it can, no matter how factual you can get, like even let's take McDonald's for example. Yes, McDonald's corporations is a it's the franchisee owner of McDonald's that we know and love. But the more importantly, how it's structured and how it works, it's different than how it's being portrayed. Yes, there's a certain fee being paid to McDonald's International that own this brand, but that's like maybe less than 10% or even less than 5% from every 1 ringgit that they make. So if you want to boycott and to the effect of not funding Israel or whatever that government that related to it, is actually to fund the other side, to give the direct 100% money to donate to let's say for example to Palestinian side. to help and keep them. Because what are you doing with boycott is actually uh, the 98 cent that you're not contributing to this is actually earned by the local owners. So, for example, McDonald's Corporation in Malaysia, owned by a Saudi company, and those most of businesses, as we know, the biggest expenditure is amortization, the salary of the people working in this corporation. They have hundreds of McDonald branches in Malaysia, and who are the ones that working in these branches? They are not Israeli. So these are the local people that your local average Joe that earns an honest living just merely to put food on the table. And here you are coming idealistically saying that, hey, in order for me to fight in Israel, I will sacrifice you in a way. So I will not spend any dollar into McDonald's, Starbucks, or KFC, for example. And the one that actually paying, that actually get the direct burn from this, a third degree burn, is the local people. Yes, there are certain circumstances where shares plummeted because of boycott in the world. This is especially true with Starbucks and McDonald's. But in the end of the day, this is merely a dent in their revenue that they want to contribute as a whole. Because remember, these entities, they have presence worldwide. So yes, maybe certain countries will doing really bad, maybe in Muslim majority country, but in any other country, it's not that important for them to join in the boycott, even though they want to fight the same cause. So I think a better way is to channel your fund, your money, directly into certain organization that would help in Palestine. Now, in that mentioning that, don't donate to Aman Palestine, because we know that it's a scam. See, the real underlying problem is the what we're gonna have here. The actual channel that dedicated to help Palestine is the one that's scamming everyone else. So the one that doing honest work, that actually giving values to our life, like people that working in this organizations, Starbucks, or in exchange for economic benefit, they are the one paying for this price. The local people that actually earning honest living. So people may say that if we cannot do all, we must do some. Yeah, I think there's a fallacy, that mental gymnastic that you have to do, because it doesn't work that way. For a boycott to be effective, everyone needs to be all in, and then they can feel the heat. If you just gonna cherry pick McDonald's and Starbucks, I'm sure other companies also contributing to Israel in any other way. Facebook that you keep using, Instagram that you keep using, is also related. Meta is related to Israel and known to contribute to Israel as well. Why don't you off your social media and boycott it at once? So the hypocrisy here, it's glaring, and I would like to hear what you have to say, Adi.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen so many, how do you say, that kind of excuse, when they say that if you want to boycott, right? Why don't you boycott things like Meta owned platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that, right? And I've seen the excuse saying that, oh, we need to use the platform of the oppressors to fight back. You might have merit to that. I think it's in some instances it can be very self gratuitous in my opinion. But for me, I think I'm supporting you on this when it comes to how this affects the bottom line, which is the employees. Because McDonald's Malaysia, they employ at least 21,000 Malaysians all across the country, and putting a boycott does hurt their employment prospects, their prospects to work, right? And they will be the ones that will be feeling it the most. And I've seen the argument saying that, oh, if you then you shouldn't work for an evil corporation. You should go work for a local company. Then you should go look for a local food vendor or whatever. And I'm thinking, are there many food vendors, restaurants, or chains in Malaysia that can accommodate up to 21,000 people to completely replace them I don't think so. And I think it's a very poor excuse to make and a very irresponsible one because you're essentially denying the, how do you say, the prospects of your fellow citizens here just to get a moral point across. And like you said, there is the relationship between McDonald's Malaysia and what's happening in Israel. There is no correlation here. It's only just by name, and that's it. And if we're in, even if you do make whatever boycotts and hurt whatever revenue streams that these big corporations have, it doesn't really make that much of a difference here. And it seems that it's a convenient message to put out without doing much, how do you say, effort in attempting to save or even assist these the Palestinian people. I think the instead of boycotting, right? I think the more efficient thing we can do is like we do the protests. I think that is a very decent way to actually come across and pressure leaders to actually make a very decisive stand on the issue. Like we've seen the prime minister being sort of pressured by the local population to actually do that kind of thing. And I mean, boycotts. We've been doing this for how many years already? Every time how do you say, every time there's an attack on Palestine, we straight away, first thing we do, boycott McDonald's, the obvious no-brainer boycott apparently. And the moment a ceasefire happens, okay, we're going to go back, eat our Big Macs, our McFlurries, and gouge down, whatever processed good food that we love and enjoy for so long. Yeah, it's going to just go back to that. I feel it doesn't really make that much of a difference, really. And if yeah, it's the like you said, the economic impact for this whole boycott, I think it far outweighs what kind of moral messaging that may be attempted here. And I think there are better ways to attempt helping these Palestinians. Of course, like you said, don't donate to Aman Palestine because it's a scam. But there are other reputable organizations I think that are out there that do channel some of their funds directly to Palestinian people and not the Hamas billionaires in Qatar. But yeah, I mean, this whole boycott issue. I mean, it's funny because I've seen uh, people who will say, and I think I'm guilty of this as well, is that okay, we're going to try boycott this for let's say a month or two, and next thing you know, I'm back in McDonald's, and I see a lot of people who would say that we're going to boycott suddenly go back to McDonald's and Starbucks because it's an essential part of our lives, a daily habit already. I'm guilty of that as well, because well, I boycotted. A lot of people have boycotted. Why aren't things improving? Right? I don't really see the tangible results here when we boycott. So um, until I can see it, that there is really an effect, then yeah, sure, maybe a boycott does work. But right now, I just feel it's moral grandstanding at this point.
Just to make it clear, Kopitiam Council doesn't have any internal interest with these mentioned companies. Like we just make saying our piece here. Like we don't hold shares with McDonald's and Starbucks.
But if McDonald's want to sponsor us, then I'm all for it. I mean, it's all I want, saying good things about McDonald's. I should go to McDonald's and I'll have a
Yeah,
Big Mac here.
yeah, definitely. Vincent Tan, hit us up if you wanna promote
Sponsor.
Adi's drink today. Uh, well, I just want to make it clear also that we are not dietitians. That we're gonna enforce our diet. Recommended diets on you that you should eat McDonald's. What we are basically saying is that even though we have alternative, right? Like they say, like, hey, just channel our money to a different company. It won't hurt our economy. But hey, economy doesn't work that way. Diversification of company that are present in Malaysia needs to survive. So let market forces take place, not some artificial boycott because of they want to, fund Israel, whatnot. So the basic idea is that we must get it right. The who are we hurting? And like I said, and you also mentioned that we need to actually channel directly to Palestine of our fund, so that that's would impact Palestinian more than just creating a dent in Netanyahu's wallet. So this is another thing, Adi. Another type of boycott that we have seen recently is even the most ludicrous kind of boycott. Uh, Easily triggered Muslims, Malay, you know, having visions where they see like, oh, the word of Allah on stockings, and there's a Kaaba a picture on a floor mat, and suddenly they feel triggered, and then everyone should react the same as they do. And we have one public figure calling for boycott on certain company simply because it's could be a mistake from the company's point of view. This hurting more in terms of, especially our prime minister now wants to bring in more company here. So we actually bullied business community now. Hey, if you make any small mistake and that mistake somehow it's going to be an offense mistake to a majority Muslim Malay, and we're gonna punish you severely. So, and that's what KK Mart is facing right now. Uncalled for backlash, certainly, just because there's 18 pairs, Adi, 18 pairs out of thousands of stockings was found in one branch of their stores. You know, I don't want to go into details and conspiracies that someone planted this or whatnot, but you can do the math. What happened there? And, you know, calling for boycott simply a tool for certain extremists to show that, hey, we have this power and I want to resonate with those hardliners like myself. So we can see that people that actually going in for this kind of boycott, they're actually those who are if you can see the disgusting comment on social media that drawing a blood making this a racist and a racist issue because they would tie certain company, tie certain character or attitude towards certain ethnicity in Malaysia. So I think that's very, very disgusting, and I think government should do more to equal this, because I would like to have an equalizer in our society where if we have someone that want to rally for boycott, we need someone with more calm-minded that would equal this, so that it's this sort of calling can be neutralized. Otherwise, we just have to entertain all this mockery and stupidity at the highest level. Even the slightest, oh, there's a logo that looks like Allah on a female shoes. Like, can you be more idiot than this? It's not the word Allah. You're just imagining it. Even a hard expert says it's not the word Allah, yet you still insist that it is. What kind of nonsense is this? The society that bullies business community at different level simply because business community is dominated by that one race. I think we all understand what that is. Yeah. What's
Obviously, right?
yeah?
Obviously, like businesses should be accountable to bad practices, right? But I think the whole KK Mart fiasco, right? I think it's the backlash has been blown completely out of proportion, and I have to say it here is that, yeah, like you said, there were 18 pairs, right, out of like a thousands, right? I mean, what were the possibilities, right? And it could just be an honest mistake. It could be a printing error or whatever, right? Something must have gone wrong, right? And then the company did apologize for what happened, and then it was taken to court. What more do you want, right? As an angry mob, what more do you want? You want to see the business completely ruined until you got to the point where you need to firebomb KK outlets? Like, where is the sensibility in bombing a random convenience store where regular people like you and me, like regular people, just work there trying to live out, do their living there, make money to sustain their living, right? Who gives you the right to like firebomb? That's the kind of nonsense you would hear in like more how do you say, extreme kind of countries. And I think this is the issue that we have right now. There's this whole pathology of paranoia, I think, amongst a lot of the Muslim community in Malaysia. There's a schizophrenic paranoia that there seems to be enemies in every single corner of in every shadow, and it seems to be out to get them and out to get whatever how do you say, benefits that whatever livelihood that It's trying to steal up on you. There's a whole conspiracy idea that things are out there to insult us, to mock us, and to say all kinds of bad things. But at the end, I mean, where's the proof then? Where's the proof that this really is a plant, that this was intentional, that this was meant to make a mockery of people of our faith? I don't see it that way. I see it as just, that's something tasteless that's being put up in a convenience store. Make a police report about it. Okay, there's take it down, hold the business accountable. That's it. There's nothing else you need to do, right? That seems to hold a business accountable. Instead, like you said, it's bullying businesses, business communities into how do you say, um, conforming to a very narrow mindset, where a lot of things are very much restricted. Of course, I mean, there should be some kind of restrictions here, right? I mean, within reason, of course. But to do all these kinds of things, I mean, like to even see certain things as like the word of Allah, right? Which really isn't there, and then you want to um, call for whatever you think you're emboldened to do so. And I think that is where I have an issue here with the boycotts that have been happening the past few months. Right? It has emboldened a lot of the more hardliners here in this country to embolden them. Okay, we can get away with this. What else can we get away with? And that's how a lot of extremism is fermented here. You paint an you blow something out of proportion, or you create an imaginary enemy, and that would get a lot of people to follow you, to get that kind of messaging, and then you could push your agenda that way. And for an UMNO member to do these kinds of things, I mean, it's very odd when you see past members calling an UMNO politician too extreme. I think saying that you're going a bit too far here. I mean, PAS being the more moderate of these two, it's quite a sight to behold. And obviously, we see Dr. Akmal, whatever his name is, right, is definitely using this just to further a political agenda, to further more support from the Malays that have completely lost support for UMNO. And then this is just a desperate tactic to gain back support by showing, instead of, HCC, instead of showcasing unity of a Malay identity, it now seems to be showcasing unity of a very extreme form of religious identity that has overwritten a lot of the values we as Malaysians have tried to uphold, which is unity and diversity, right? That seems to be the cornerstone of the federation itself, right? The whole Malaysian constitution was trying to, or even the conception of Malaysia was built across pluralism, diversity, and multiculturalism. And then you want to just say that, okay, this is a conspiracy theory. That's crazy, that's crazy. And I'm just going back in circles here right now. It's because it's baffling, and I think it's because we here in Sabah, we don't see that kind of thing happening. It's crazy to see when something like this happens. We would resolve this rationally. We would have like a normal conversation. Okay, it's an honest mistake. Okay, well, settle the case. And then you see all these kinds of crazy stories, and then that's why you have that kind of backlash now. A lot in Sabah and Sarawak saying that this is crazy things happening, and we don't want this kind of culture coming over to Sabah and Sarawak. And I think that's just going to push more Sabahans and Sarawakians to say that, hey, Malaya, West Malaysia's gotten really crazy, and we kind of want to do our own thing. We want to push our own autonomy and decentralization, and I think that's going to further the case even more. You already have a lot of like Sabahans that's very disillusioned with this kind of rhetoric happening over in the West, our counterparts in the West, and they're going to just create another reactionary response out of this, and it's just going to escalate further and further until, like you say, some kind of check and balance or some kind of third voice would come. And I think the government should be taking a more active stance in mediating this kind of issue rather than just settling this in the courts. And because the government seems to be very comfortable in setting certain parameters in our lives, right? As Malaysians, the government seems to have a bit more control in terms of social engineering, right? Not to the same extent as Singapore, but the government of Malaysia seems to have that kind of power. And I think, why not exercise it, right? If you really are an administration that is trying to push for multiculturalism, right? You should step in and say that this is crazy. We don't want this kind of things happening. But of course, that could damage your political reputation in the elections to come. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of scenario.
Well, if you look at this, how ironic, even in Taliban Afghanistan, this kind of thing doesn't happen. Not that I'm aware of.
And
It
not
could
that we're
possibly
aware
happen,
of.
but we never heard it. So I think it didn't even happen in Kabul, but it happened in Kuala Lumpur. But jokes aside, moving forward, I think the government should come up with a guideline because all arose from this is that people don't know how to react to this, and certain political figure just take advantage of this, like you said, and then make it a political gain. So in the future, moving forward, a guideline should be created by the government, and then people will know how to deal with this more properly. Like I'm on the side that I don't easily get triggered by and being offended by anything. But for those who easily triggered and offended, there will be a guideline for you, and you can just like do a complaint, do a writing to certain authorities body, and then they will deal with it, not some mobsters throwing flames to a store, not some demonstration to threaten certain business community, not that. So there will be a guideline to properly to do this if you are easily triggered and offended by a mere design of a fancy word of Allah on a certain shoes. So if you really that if you really, I don't know what's the word, but maybe I'm not going to say it. If you really think that way,
The Malaysian handbook to being offended.
yeah, let's do that for me, Fazil. Yeah, that would be one of your biggest achievement, maybe. With that, I would like to close this topic. Follow us on our social media. We post shots every day on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. So please drop a comment also and let us know what are topics that you want us to talk in the future. That would help in our content creation. Anything from you, Adi?
Yeah, I think this is pretty. I mean, we just came out of Raya and we had to do a few bummer of a topics right here, and I think we did get a bit. Yeah, I think we tried to be rational about it. And, of course, we tried to give our own. It's our own opinions, and if you want to be offended, then well, Fahmi Fazil's handbook for being offended might be your cup of tea. But anyway, thank you all again for listening, and obviously you can reach out to us on our socials, and you can even have a conversation with us if you feel like we've been mistaken or erred on our part. We're more than happy to have our opinions be challenged, and I think that is the best way we can do so. You reach out to us. And again, I just want to say happy holidays to everyone listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Goodbye for now.